that is something that we have to talk about, because even if somebody's sitting here going, oh, I never had that pull to get on a live event stage. The fact is entrepreneurs, especially online, when we are working with other business owners online, we are on stages every single day. So let's just break it down right now. When we say stages, I'm going to air quote it because most of us think live conference stage. But a stage is simply a platform where you share your message. You are on stages on your Instagram stories. You're on stages like right now, we're on a stage of a Facebook live stream. You're on stages when you are on a Zoom call talking to a prospect, potentially selling your services. Like that is a stage. We're talking to people on stages every single day. The question is whether or not you're actually treating that as a speaking opportunity by putting some intention behind it, some strategy behind it, making sure that you're being aware of how you're communicating. So you see, most people take that for granted and just show up and be like, oh, I talk to people every day, so I know what I'm doing. But that is not the case, because the difference between us and other people who just talk to people on Zoom is we use speaking as a tool to make our business stay afloat. Like we have to make sales, we have to build connections, we have to be able to articulate ourselves. Otherwise, we won't be in business. You can't stay in business just from captions and sales pages. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about speaking. Regardless, if you want to speak at a live event, you have to start seeing speaking as something that you do every single day. So you may as well start doing it on purpose.
I have been putting myself out there more. And I have been on, I think, 13 podcasts, Heather, like 3 virtual summits. And I have my biggest stage ever booked for, I think we're filming it next month, but for a conference is normally in person, but it's going to be a virtual event this time. But 5,000 people go to that event. And I never would have had the confidence to do this at this level before I really made this part of my strategy. I would do small guest teaching, which was still important, and it still brought in clients and helped me, craft my message and work on my delivery skills. But now I'm kind of stepping out in the spotlight a little bit in a bigger way.
I love that. I think it's one of those things, we build our confidence sometimes with smaller opportunities, and that's going to look different for each person. That might be as guest teaching, that might be a podcast interview, that might be doing what we're doing right now with a friend on Facebook Live. You got to start somewhere, but the whole point is, as a business owner, we continually have to level up to stay relevant, to stay fresh. We have to grow our skills. So the same thing happens when it comes to exposure online. You have to be testing different things to see, where are my people? How is my message landing? Like, you have to try different things out, and you have to keep stretching yourself. So good for you.
Can you tell me, what would you say to someone who thinks like, oh, I'm not ready for this, or I don't know, can speaking really help me? Like, who can this really help? Because I have a mix of audience here. I have the freelancers who are working behind the scenes, not always doing the Insta famous stuff. And then I also have business owners following me who are DIYing their marketing and stepping up with courses and membership sites. Like, who is this right for?
Yeah. Okay. I love this question, because, when I launched my program, it's called Speak Up to Level Up. When I launched initially, I was like, I'm working with online business owners, but not entirely sure. The beautiful part about launching online is you learn as you go, and you could reiterate. And what I've actually learned is my program attracted a lot of different kinds of people. And it's because of this. Every single one of us as business owners use our voices, and we speak for our business. Again, not just to teach, but we speak as a marketing tool. And when we start understanding that, we're like, oh my goodness, I need to become more succinct. I need to become more clear. I need to become more motivational and persuasive. And I need to learn how to talk about things in a way that attracts other people, not just pushes information at them. So when we started uncovering, okay, this speaking is a skill, and when we learn the skill, other things in our business start working out well. I learned it started attracting a variety of people. But what I want you to think about is, if you're a service provider, you're not out there trying to speak in front of audiences of 10,000 people. If you're a service provider, you most likely work one-on-one, or maybe have a couple digital products, if you will, that you need to sell. Like, most of you are working with smaller quantities of people. So you have to think about this. Your goal for speaking isn't to get in front of giant audiences. It's to get in front of the right quality audiences that are going to be a good fit. I know it's kind of cheesy to say, but quality over quantity matters. And we're going to lean in and talk about this a lot today, because I think the online space kind of tells us more is more. More exposure is better. More like you have to have a bajillion-dollar business. You have to have all these leads. You don't. As a service provider, you only need the right people. But here's the thing, from a sales page or even your social media feed, people don't really get the essence of who you are and the unique value proposition that you can bring to somebody else's business or life. So when you think about speaking, think about, yes, being a guest on podcasts, being a guest inside other people's programs, being able to speak, doing IG lives or Facebook lives. When you speak, people get to know you uniquely. They get to know how you think about business and life and how you do things. And they will like, boom, that was a magnet like swarming to you. I'm terrible at sound effects, but they will like be very attracted and be like, tell me more about how I can work with you. So you have to think about speaking is you showing up to attract other people into your service providing orbit. Now, if you're a course creator, you know you have online programs that you're trying to fill and sell. So most of us think, oh, we have to run Facebook ads to a cold audience, or, oh, I have to grow my list to a bajillion, cajillion to make that happen. I'll tell you this right now. When I first launched my program that Emily signed up with, I had 123 people on my email list. And my first program launch was $26,000, which is crazy town to think about. But this idea that we have to have these big lists to be successful is completely not true. You need to make sure that you're showing up in a way where people believe you. They see you as the expert, not just because somebody else said you were, which you want a little bit of that too. But if they see in demonstration of you showing up, talking with them, providing value, not just in a freebie, but with your voice, they're going to go like, holy crap, she's the real deal. And they will ask, like that trust will escalate so high that they will fork over their money and want to work with you. Because so often online, how often are we scrolling through other people's Instagram pages? Or I don't know about you, but I like to look at people's landing pages. So on their Instagram, I'll click and be like, what services do they have? And I'm sizing up, wow, they're a good writer, or, oh, they hired a good writer. But I'm constantly questioning, but I don't want to get burned. I don't know if I can actually trust this person. I don't actually know if they know what they're talking about, or they just know who to hire to talk about their business. That's the thing. We all can hire excellent copywriters. I know many, but the thing is when you show up and speak on different stages, there's no bull. Like, forgive my language there, but like, it's true. There's no way to BS your way around it. When you speak, like you can tell if somebody knows what they're talking about or if they're just giving you fluff. And that's the thing. Like, I don't care if you're a service provider, a course creator, if you're a coach, when you do what you do, which is like your thing, but in real time, oh man, people are like, yes, that is the biggest credibility booster. I went off on a tangent there, Emily, but I'm like very passionate about that piece. Like demonstrate your competency and you will have people swarming to you.
My students hear me say this all the time, but I have gotten so many clients or interests, like I don't always work with everyone, just by in person talking about my business and what I do and really taking your signature talk and squishing it down to that elevator pitch. And I remember when I met you, you're like, your elevator pitch sucks. Like, let's work on that. And you probably
I think I said it in a more loving way.
Yeah, you did. You totally did. But that was the Emily translation. And I knew it. And that's why I hired you. I knew this was a weak point and I knew this wasn't something I could do on my own. But meeting people in person and talking about what I do has gotten me so much business. And now I have a lot of local businesses who want me to come in and give a presentation and teach. And like, I'm getting tapped in a lot for these smaller workshops and whatnot. And this is just in like the freelancer capacity. They don't even know about this other side of my business where I'm scaling and have a course and a membership. Like they just want what's in my brain. And that's because I could effectively articulate what I do. And I use magical words like SEO or funnel. And they're like, yes.
Tell me more.
I mean, it really does work. And this is for somebody who isn't huge, who doesn't have the big email list. And this is why I love it. This is such a practical strategy for anyone at any level.
I agree. I think it's one of those things. I think a lot of people want to show off all their big numbers, but I will tell you right now, you actually probably don't even know this about my business. I have a 6-figure business with an email list under 1,000 people. I'm 2 years into my business and I still don't have an email list. And you know what? I don't freaking care. because
Yeah.
I don't need it. Because what I focus on is conversion rates. What I focus on is the quality of the list. I don't want to pay ConvertKit way more money for leads of people who are not going to eventually buy from me or don't care about what I do. I don't care about vanity metrics. I care about serving people who actually want to do the work, not just people who just sign up for the free because they're like, oh yeah, I think I need that, but they're never going to look at it. No, I focus on having a healthy, clean list of people who want to grow. I think that's what's really, really important. So the whole fallacy around you need to have a big business to break 6 figures and scale from there. Like I know I'm growing my email list, but I'm not growing my email list for the sake of it. I'm growing my list to attract the right people. And I do that through speaking.
I'm so glad you brought up the vanity metrics, because especially when you're starting new, like it kind of kills you a little bit when you start comparing and you're like looking at the Facebook numbers and the Instagram numbers, and people want to know how big your list is. And none of that is a hogwash. And it gets stuck in our mind. But so much can be done at this like micro level of knowing who you're serving and what you're teaching. And I just want more people to understand this but I just want everybody to hear this. I know I have a lot of freelancers who are business owners here. And when you think about every top-notch 6-figure, 7-figure business owner who started out with a service, they are all putting themselves out there. And it can start with little things like Clubhouse, but they are all putting themselves out there with speaking, with podcasts. You know, they're on stages, even if it's like 15-minute talks on stages. Like I have seen it. And the most successful people are doing this. It's a viable strategy here.
They're sharing their opinions. They're sharing their ideas. They're sharing their unique perspective. Like you can't get people to want to buy from you unless you bring a unique voice to the conversation. And quite frankly, more and more copywriting, I hate to say this, I love my copywriter friends so much, but copy is all starting to look the same. It's the same templates. It's the same formulas. It's the same hooks. Even the templates on Kajabi or Lead Pages, whatever, they're all starting to look the same. And while others are going, okay, how do I make my copy better? Which I work on that too. I'm going, how do I differentiate myself by me physically showing up? Because I say this all the time, but here's the thing. If you go back and listen to a transcript of like this recording or any of my podcasts, like you would cringe laugh because the words that I say are not even necessarily the best words possible. Like sometimes they're not even coherent sentences. Like I'm not trying to bat 1,000 or whatever the perfect score is. Is that baseball? I don't know. I don't know. Whatever the perfect, I'm not trying to get it right with my words. I'm trying to be on track with my words, but my focus is to show up and show me on camera and interviews, which is my energy, which is my voice, which is my pace of excitement. Like when it comes to communication, only 7% of what you say is the words you use. The rest of it is 38% is how you say those words, and 55% is all of the nonverbals. So how you express yourself through your eyebrows, I have a crazy eyebrow, your facial expressions, your hand gestures, your movement or lack thereof, you are communicating to your audience your confidence, and people buy and follow confident people. So for me, all day long, I will put up a video on my page versus copy. I will show up and do a live presentation versus a recorded or a PDF, because I know my secret sauce is I know how to freaking communicate and get people excited. Like if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I never really thought about speaking, but now you're thinking about it, right? And it's because I have trained myself. I've learned how to communicate in a way that's persuasive, authentic. It's genuine. It's of high integrity, right? I'm not trying to swindle anybody to buy something they don't need, but I learned how to communicate that way. And that's what I teach. I want people not just to be focused on their words. You have to get the message right. If the message is wrong, everything else falls off the rocker. But once you get your message right, where people stop is, oh, I got my messaging right. No, that is just the beginning, baby. That's just your entry pass. You have to learn now how to communicate your message in a way that pulls in the right people. Otherwise, you'll be a snooze fest and you'll be competing all day long against everybody else. So I say separate yourself by showing up and learning how to communicate. Like that's your true differentiator.
Yeah. Can you talk to everyone about this free training you have coming up that where you're really going to dive into some of these strategies for speaking on stages?
Yes. Okay. I'm super excited about this. This is a brand new training that my team and I just put together. And it's all about how to unlock your authority in your industry. It's how do you actually fill your programs and get tangible results through speaking without needing a super huge audience and without second guessing yourself at every word that you say. So in this training, what we're going to do is we're going to break down some of the most common myths that are in this space. Like, I'll give you an example, this myth around PR and needing to have a PR manager or somebody to pitch for you or to get on TV. That's the ticket. All of that, I don't believe that for a moment. And so I'm going to teach you why that strategy actually is not the right fit for you as a business as you're growing to that 6-figure mark and growing from 6 figures to 7 figures. That is not the strategy for you. So we're going to talk about that along with some of the other myths that happen, including why you see so many people getting on stages and getting really great praise, but that is not converting into actual leads in their business. There is a missing link there. So I'm going to break it down of why that's happening and how to fix that so that you don't waste your time showing up on podcast interviews and all these other things without the payoff. Like, you need to show up and serve without expectations, but you should feel confident that that service is going to indirectly come back into your business. You want to be growing a business. We're not nonprofits here. We're for-profits. So we want to learn that. And then I'm actually going to teach on that webinar my proven process for how to create magnetic presentations. So whether that's on a podcast interview or that's guest teaching in a Facebook Live like we're doing here, or you actually delivering your own webinar. Like, I have a magnetic formula that I give my clients that is how do you actually put the right mix of things together to ensure you have that return effect where people actually want to continue to follow and work with you. So I'm going to teach all of that and help you develop your own speaking strategy, regardless if you're a service provider, a coach, or a course creator. When you think about how you want to grow your business this year, you want to make sure you have the right strategy that fits you and not one of those one size fits all templates that might be designed for a business owner who is like 10 steps ahead of you. You need something that's curated for you right now in your stage business. So I'm going to help you create that on this training.
Yeah, we're not all trying to be Tony Robbins or Rachel Hollis right now at this point in our career.
Love them, but we're not them.
Some of us might want to get there, but there's a style for each one of us. And I think that takes so much pressure off of us. Now, what I loved about your program is I struggled with outlining my signature talk. I struggled because I like to just deliver the content like bam, 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 here's the content, bye. And I love the teaching part of it. And you really taught me how to make that more magnetic and how to put in storytelling and bridges. And that was something that was really hard for me because I'm kind of like cut and dry. And that's why I hope you all can sign up for this webinar so you can learn everything you can from Heather. I put the link in the description here, and the webinar is live right next week. So you have plenty of time. Sign up right now and catch it live. That's where you'll get the most from it. Of course, like that participation and getting to pick Heather's brain is going to pay off. And then, I just can't thank you enough for the progress I've made in my speaking. And it sounds so silly when I kind of really filter it down to, it comes to confidence, right? So is confidence, and it's just confidence in myself. I'm not worried about other people in some regard when I'm stepping on stage. It's having the confidence for me to say, yeah, I can do that and get that ball rolling. And then I figure it out. I always figure it out. But I had to have that backing and that education and that training behind me before I was willing to raise my hand for any of that. And that's why I'm so thrilled you are offering this free training to everyone here in this Facebook group and here on my business page. So this is awesome.